Welcome to the Freddie Kissoon show. Break it.
Let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, for an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is disrespectful.
It is their right.
Yes. A right, the right that someone has. All of our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a vision, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Pleasant Friday evening to you. Welcome to the Freddie Kissoon show with our co-host Leonard Craig. Last Christmas, we decided for our Christmas edition, we will visit people who have made this program possible and have their thoughts for our Christmas edition. So we traveled up the East Coast to be at the home of Neville Bissember Jr. And then we sought out the former mayor of Georgia, Ubraj Narine, and we did an interview with him in the garden on South Road. These two gentlemen are part of about 8 persons that have a blank check to be on this program because they have never refused us. In fact, I called at the last minute for both of them and they both agreed. And one thing for sure, what they have to say is always interesting. In case you don't know, yesterday, Thursday morning, Ubraj Narine resigned from the People's National Congress. So after protocol, we will ask him his reason for doing so. Neville, thanks for being here for the upteen time, and we expect you to grace our studio again. As usual, the first time you appeared here, you had on an immaculate shirt, Jack, and since then, you have to give Ubraj Narine, and you know this man is an official politician now. You have to give him a shirt, Jack. Namaste. Ubraj, why you resign from the PNC?
Again, Freddie, thank you very much for having me on your program, respected gentlemen. Viewers out there, the decision came after reflection of what exactly I have knew the PNC was and the difference now. The party continued to hemorrhage in different direction, and I cannot continue to be a part of the leadership. I believe the party is a solid party. It's a great party. The constitution of the party is viable and well structured, but those things are not followed in the party anymore. And after election, you're supposed to, as leadership, hold a meeting with your members, informing them a direction, a way forward, how we're going to do this thing. Selection of member of parliament and all these things happened. I'm not a guy who will resign over position and all these things. No, I am not interested in those things. I should have done it long before. But I waited and watched on to see what is the way forward with the leadership. Since the leadership said, look, you're not resigning and all these things, and I don't believe he has a conscience to know exactly he is continuing to hemorrhage this great party of Forbes Barnum, and there's no option left for me to just walk away from the leadership party of the PNC.
Okay, before I bring in Craig, do you know a little bit about the history of this gentleman here on your right?
Yes, I read about him. I met him a few functions.
But do you know his family's history?
I don't know his.
Well, let me tell you about his family history. His father, his name is Junior. His father was one of the pillars of the PNC, represented the PNC at the Independence Conference, and one of the first ministers of the PNC government. His father was a lawyer, Neville Bissember Jr. So he knows about the history of your party. Well, it's your former party now. But Neville, I think Craig has some questions about constitution and extradition and what have you.
Yeah, but before we go to that, let's stick at the PNC thing.
Oh, please give him a party card.
No, certainly. I got application in my pocket, sir, and you're welcome to join us.
No.
Never can be more independent.
I have no interest.
I got application in my pocket.
You can sign.
Mr. Bissember, you come from a family that was wedded to the PNC, and what you see now in the PNC, does it give you any pause, any confidence, or the leadership, Terrance, Campbell, Aubrey, Norton, and the PNC that you grew up admiring?
Admiring, okay.
No, at least at some point. Well, you tell us.
Got my brains there, boy. Yeah, thanks, gentlemen, and pleasure to be with the pundit. I was going the other day. My father, unfortunately, is in Le Repentir. I see they're clearing it again. I hope. Can't go in there now, got snake and cayman and all kind of thing. I was going the other day to have a word with the gentleman, and the man, one of them guy, the thing, he said, don't worry, come, because he turned over in the grave all the time. He turned over all the time. The man, poor man, turning over in the grave, seeing
to see what's happening.
What is going on in not only the party, but quite frankly, this country. And, I respect my colleague's decision. My father, look, I tell people, I had a free political science education. I sit down in the afternoon with he drinking the rum and ginger. The time I drinking bank beer, just gaffing. And he tell me stories, anecdotally. And one of the things he said to me is that in some life you must be sure about certain things. And one is your political persuasion. Right? In a country like this is racially charged. As a matter of fact, he grew up in quarantine with Dr. Jagan and the brother Naipal, Sir Paul, and all of them. And he still went with the PNC, which of course was Afro-Guyanese boy. Not on the basis of race or anything or ideology. Right? The PPP was a communist party. Only the other day they removed something with socialism and so on. And on principle, my father was a welfare state man. Even Mr. Borno was a little more progressive than he was. But out of the two, he made a choice based on principle. He said, look, this is the party I choose. You must understand that. It's not that I don't think people say about Indian and black and thing and so on. Because you get plenty of blows from Indo-Guyanese for that. And he told me an anecdote about when Ranjit Chandra Singh, we sat down after, he said, look at the man, the vice president in the PNC now. And he was to tell me some stories about Ranjit used to berate him with the most vile of slurs because he was an Indian in the PNC. He said, what's the man about? The man is now vice president in the same party he's cussing me about. No, your friend says, he has a free choice, it's his persuasion. You are trying to entice the man to join whatever party. That doesn't matter for him.
He will join.
Well, that doesn't matter for him. But the point I'm making is that some things you must be sure about. But I respect the gentleman's opinion. I believe, and for just your asking, so why my father was no longer the PNC, because he and Bornham had some fundamental differences, personally and on the policy level. He covered the government in 1970, and then things went south with the Safari Declaration and socialism and nationalization and the whole 9 yards, which he was not a party of. I think in Ubraj's case, to be fair to him, if that's the right word, the PNC of today is nothing like the PNC of before. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
The leadership policy, the support within the community. I used to go campaigning with my father. You know, that different party groups. They want to name the group after him. That Neville number 1 and Neville number 2. That's the kind of respect the leadership of the party was held in high esteem, right, at the time. I don't know that those things occur nowadays. Certainly, the kind of outreach I see that we used to run is them hard rock time. You know, party had money, right? I guess in a similar sense now, because you see people talking about the benefit of incumbency. I see your report come out with a lot of things like that. So, Ubraj might have very good reasons now in 2025 for Community Party. I don't know if it's a party that I admired. I was born into the PNC. I had no choice. When my mother brought me into this world, I was born into a PNC household. And I also am not a communist. Right? And for years, we only had 2 choices to make. So I think if you put a thing in a span over the 50 years, the calculus has shift. I think I've used a term publicly about a seismic shift in our politics now. Ubraj cites internal problems. Right? He said a lot of things are not respected. Just yesterday, you know, I was on a television radio program in Jamaica. At the behest of a good friend of yours, Dr. Mark Norton, who prevailed upon me to join. And the gentleman said he wanted to talk about the leader of the opposition and so on. But he went on to ask me questions just similar thing about the political landscape, making the point, which I've said too, that in the Caribbean, we're accustomed to 2-party politics. Right? They tried in Trinidad with the cup, Jamaica tried, it never worked. Right? And here it is now. In a whirlwind situation, in a short space of time, you know, people say, I told the gentleman, I don't think Win Party was 3 months old, because Mr. Mohamed has been doing his outreach long before that. He had a following long before that. But it has been seismic. And so the landscape has shifted. But I also said, in addition to the internal problems he mentioned, I think the PNC as itself, in terms of the outreach, okay, the strap for resources, the groundwork, the kind of representation. You know, look, my father used to say, an opposition party must oppose, not walk out the parliament. You collect your money every month, you judiciary care, and you walking out. How can you represent the people who put you there by walking out and picking up mace and a set of foolishness? I mean, come on, man. Yeah? You paid there, you get on a salary, big fancy thing, the big fancy judiciary care and so on, and you walk. How can you represent the people by walking out of parliament? And there's parliamentary methodology. I remember Mr. Norton making some statement as soon as he became leader, but as if to say that, well, there are other means besides what you want to go and take to the streets. There's a limit to what you can do with that. And there are reasons for doing that. I'm not saying it's not warranted in certain circumstances. You look around the world, you see that. So all of that to say, the PNC of today is not the PNC before, and I know about admiring or whatever you call it. There are other things in the PPP that I quote unquote admire when they do. Yeah. And that's one of my feelings, because, you know, it costs everybody. If the PNC does something, I tell them. The people,
you perhaps fall into a way of catering them.
Drinking no soup or everything will hang in and put. No. So I respect my friend's decision. I'm saying in the current context, it's understandable. I don't know if my father would have done something like that in his time, as he says, you know, it's a principal position, but maybe the circumstances have changed so fundamentally as to what the PNC represented, and whether you agree with me or not, because of the seismic shift of a new third force on the scene that not only has arrived so quickly, but has displaced it as the main opposition. Things we're in a different environment now. I know Mr. Norton say, what is it? He's still leader, but he's not in parliament. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. Mr. Campbell is the leader in parliament. You know, people say about he being groomed. I don't know enough about the internal dynamics of that. In any organization, a club, a house, or whatever, if you bring somebody from outside and parachute them in, it's always caused some discommoding. That's Mr. Campbell's business. He has his work cut out for him. Mr. Norton has to decide what is his future. I know Aubrey for years. We work with Foreign Affairs together. But I know he must realize, listen to the people. Gotta hear the songs out there and decide where to place himself. So it's he, but for the party, no. I think they need to do some a little more introspection, looking back over the 5 years. You talked to a lot of Afro-Guyanese, my friend. And they said they felt let down by the PNC in the 5 years that they were in opposition. Not because you're in opposition, you gotta keep representing the people, working with your constituency, going and visit them and so on. I think some of that wasn't done enough. And so we see the results in the last election. But I told you I don't have a crystal ball, my friend, so I can't tell you what is going to come in the future. That's just what I've seen from now in the present.
So, Ubraj, you wrote a letter in the newspapers publishing Wednesday, day before yesterday, and you were very critical, unambiguous language, that some of them should not be in there. And
inside the PNC. Well, you see that's in Toronto, yeah.
They should not be. He was quite
I did wrote that article. Starbuck News carried it and Village Voice. I saw carry that article, and the reason why I wrote that article, the party is not only external force damaging the party, it's internal force. When you surround yourself as a leader, like I make mention with yes people, it is dangerous for the structure of the party. And this election, and I'm quoting the former chairman of the party, Sherwin Holder, who did an interview with Chronicle and said that the member parliament for the APNU was selected by Norton himself.
And Elson Lowe said that.
And Elson Lowe said that too. The problem is not about going to parliament. The problem is that we have people like Royzel Ford. You have stalwart in this party who you could have bring and have maybe a forum and let the general council or something decide these matters. But Aubrey Norton continued to act as a one-man show, and whatever he take to the CC is yes people. They would not challenge him, right? And they move forward. I have no problem with Aubrey Norton. I have no issue with the individual. I have an issue on the leadership of this party. I have been there a few mornings with Robert Corbyn. I've worked with Granger. I've worked with Joe Harman. I've worked with Amna Ali. I've worked with Vola Lawrence. And I have never seen such nonsense that is happening currently within this great party.
That's a mild word, nonsense.
Right?
You don't want to say atrocity.
This thing, we can't...
Despicability.
No, I call it nonsense because they don't know exactly where they're going. That's my problem.
Misdirections then.
Mayor, let me just interject here quickly. Wednesday night on our program, both myself and Freddie agreed that there should be a group in the PNC who should form up and take back control of the party in the way it should. And as you said, the constitution and so on is not being followed and so on. Why not try, instead of resigning, why not try and form that coalition, that group that goes and says, look, we are strong enough, we want to be heard, we want to take back, we want to restore our party?
We in fact got a group that we chat about it. As in Lowe reached out to me, I reached out to Marvin and said that let me do something and go to the leader and so on, and and I don't believe people want to approach him because the way he responds or the way he treat people, I don't know. But beside all of that, Craig, myself personally reached out to Mr. Campbell. And I reached out to him on the 24th of October, I think. And I said to Mr. Campbell, greetings, sir. I spoke to him before, and I said to him, look, I want to work with you guys because I've seen the interest that we have to build back the party from grassroots. What is the schedule for the outreach on the weekend? Please let me know so I can try to fit in. And he responded to me and said, I do not think there is an outreach. this week, but there is a big PR meeting on Sunday. We will continue outreaches next week. I will message you. I said, okay, great. I'm looking forward. I have never ever received back a text, call, or message from Mr. Campbell. And again, going to a leadership of that caliber, that category, I have no interest in position. I have no interest in an office. You know what is my interest? It is the people out there, to the representation of the people out there, right? Like I saw that many people said that, oh, their blood were always green. Your blood wasn't green in 2020 when you go against Granger, right? You not in the election mode, but even in the campaign when you were a part of Anug, right? Your blood wasn't green.
You mean
then?
AFC?
No, right? And
Campbell helped the
Oh, Campbell talking about. Oh, yes, yes.
I'm not blaming Campbell, but when you see people like them come to take over the PNC and want to dictate for the member, long-standing member of the PNC, tells you the leadership quality of the party, that you can bring anybody in this party and make them somebody, and they can able to leave after they get what they want, or if not please them, and left the membership abrupt and gone their way. And we have seen that happen many times with this what happened in the coalition, right? It's an example is there, and they're not changing those principles.
Do you have a future in politics?
I
Of course,
I love
the application
politics.
form for the PPP.
I love politics, Craig. I will be here. I have no
That's
intent.
enough. That's enough.
I have no intent to join any other party. I will be Ubraj and Narine.
Not to join any other party right now.
Right now, he's
Right
gonna
now,
join,
I will be Ubraj. and Narine.
That's enough. That's enough. We will talk after this program. No.
Neville, there's some things going around saying that extradition proceedings against Mr. Azruddin Mohamed is going to take a long time. It's going to stretch out and stretch out.
Before we get there, I just want to clarify something with Pandit, because, and I've heard them say this before, when you talk about the leadership, it's like maybe say the government. The government is a thing. The leadership
It's a
is
thing.
a collective. I mean,
You got particularizers.
well, I want to put you on the spot,
specific.
but you got something
But he's a
called-
politician.
Look, as you said, right? My father was the legal advisor to the PNC for the independence.
Conflict.
I mean, you go back since then. He was, I believe, either chairman or vice chairman of the party. There was something people wanted.
He was a founder, member in 57.
Yeah, people wanted to be leader, all kind of thing. He want all kind of thing, right? I used to go to his meetings with him. Used to hear somebody so the central executive is a powerful body. From what you hear the gentleman saying, I mean, you don't understand. You're just torn up by the central exec. It's one thing people don't understand about Bornham. As bright as people say he was, he used to surround himself with bright people.
Yes.
Kenneth King,
I think everybody knows that about
As in
Borneo.
Paris.
Everybody knows that about Borneo.
Carl Greenwich.
She that Ramfall.
See that plump full.
Mohammed
I see that
Shahabuddin,
carried on even
Fred Wills.
when I was in the foreign ministry. Then people I didn't work with, but Rashi Jackson was my first foreign minister. He used to do a similar kind of thing. He tell no tales out to school now. Cabinet used to meet on Tuesday, so he used to call the directors meeting on Monday. And a lot of the things we discussed in the directors meeting on a Monday, sometimes known to us and unknown to us, were on the cabinet agenda for the next day. And he used to use us like as a sounding board to bounce things off. So when he go over there the next morning and the fellas put on the blows on him, he already got half the answers to the questions because he tested them with us, right? And the other people in the in the room there who were competent in their own right. So I don't understand. We talk about leadership. I don't quite understand that. Now you mentioned Mr. Campbell. Who was I say he come from, I don't know, a land. That of itself must cause some discommoding. I don't know. See people talking, look, I'm pleased. This is just what is out there. Whether he has some issues with his nationality or something, whatever, I don't know. That's a matter for him. Others have been in that situation, they give it up. Right? That's a matter for him in terms of the internal party structure. But if we live in a democracy, I start from the premise that parliamentary systems and structures exist within the party. You can't be holding that out to the people out there and being undemocratic inside. So, either you or whoever's in there, Terrance, I know the gentleman, we exchange, we talk. I know Terrance for years. He has his work cut out for him. There's something about UNES. I see now he's a parliamentary expert. He go and buy some book. May's parliamentary practice now. Fine. You get everybody go through a learning curve. But this is one of the things. When you're in a situation like that, you gotta reach out to people that know.
Yeah.
People that have experience, people that been in the thing.
Yeah.
You got some people in the PNC now, I think, who were in parliament before. Some have been left out. I don't know why. Again, that's an internal matter. But there's a learning curve that the gentleman has to go through. The quicker you go through it, the better. I would imagine you need to rely on people like yourself and so on. But that's a matter for Terry. He knows best what he's doing. Bearing in mind that the future of the party, the impact that the party will have, and the resonance how it will resonate with its traditional base, which already has been chipped away with by Mr. Mohamed, and also to a certain extent by the PVP. Now, when you look at the campaign, right, particularly with Win, people say about the rent a crowd and so on. Apart from that, you couldn't win an election by so many seats. Well, not win, being second with the rent a crowd alone. So for me, there's some discontent.
Of course.
On both sides of the camp. Both of our both racial groups that gravitated to Mr. Mohamed, and that's a teachable moment for the PNC and also to the leadership. No, for the extradition thing, you put me in trouble, because this thing, big word is sub judice, it's before the court. So
no, we just asked you if that extradition is going to take years.
I don't know, because we have a court system here, as you know, that goes all the way up to the apex court,
CCJ.
which is the CCJ. Now, I think what people are having difficulty with, which I could speak to, is the process, right? Mr. Mohamed and his father are not on trial in Guyana. Right? They're not answering a charge. They are being called to answer a charge outside of the jurisdiction. Right? And as a result of that, there's a process, which I think the AG explained, use them big word, comity and so on, and good relations. Plus we have some treaty and legislative basis for what we're doing. And it works in the other direction too. The Marcus Bisram case is of course there for people to read. And when I was in the Foreign Ministry as legal advisor, I used to deal with some of these things. So it's not something new. So this is a procedural matter where you just go, and I said the lawyers go and they present the evidence. They normally send a big dossier. I had to deal with one once for a gentleman who was a fugitive from justice from some murder charges. Right? He had committed a crime. In this case, the Mohammeds have committed no crime. They've just been allegations and a grand jury indictment. In this case, this man had committed the crime and he fled the jurisdiction to come to Guyana. They sent the whole dossier, all the crime scene photos and things. I don't know that you want that in the public because we must release the documents. They get the defense counsel. And of course the magistrate has to say, but there's not for the public me you to see all them kind of thing. What Mohammed do, what Mohammed didn't do, just like how you don't want to see, there's a photograph of the actual wounds and so on. It's very gory, but this is the dossier that come. I used to have to go through to the Foreign Ministry, then pass it over to the AGs and Home Affairs and so on. So you gotta let that process run. It's the matter before the court right now has to do with what is in the indictment. That's the charges that have been laid abroad. But the gentleman has a team of counsel. You can't tell them what to do. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I ain't got to tell them nothing. But there are other matters related to extradition, which they can pursue. I'm sure they know. They've been well briefed. I'm sure they know what they're doing. And we have to let that process run. Right? If they get one judgment down below in favor of the government saying, yes, the gentleman they must be extradited, and they appeal that, we got the Court of Appeal, and then we got the CCJ. Bisram matter went to the CCJ, or not on the extradition, on the substance when he came back here. All right. So let's let the process run. It's something that is unusual, and I think what has complicated matters, because they've had other extradition matters in this country. What have complicated matters is because of the political role of Azruddin. You could distinguish between the political side and the legal side, right? Like people are drawing a link, which I am hesitant to do. I wrote a piece the other day about the office of the leader of the opposition, and if you read that piece, I mentioned nothing but extradition. Deliberately, because far I'm concerned, the two things are separate.
Yeah.
If people want to conflate them, that's a matter for them. But you could look at the matter proceeding through the courts now and how that evolves through our court system up to the apex court, separate and apart from what is going on with, or I guess what is not going on with Parliament. Because the speaker say he consulting. I don't know what he has to consult about. It's a simple meeting. I say even before the sort of the stocks the meeting goes down. Okay, you bring the term they use in the Constitution, the non-governmental members of the Assembly, that's the opposition members, you bring them in a room, okay, do you all have a candidate? Terry has already said he's not putting up a candidate. So as far as we're concerned, is one potential leader of the opposition, they put him in the room, 18 of them, no recording, nothing, no show of hands. Right? All those in favor, aye, story done. I don't know what is taking so long about that. I see the wind now said they're going to court. Again, as a matter for them, I've also written about that. You got to be careful when you go to court what you're asking for, because the three arms of government, you got the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And incidentally, people don't understand the leader of the opposition is opposed to the executive in the Constitution. People see him as leading the opposition. That's only one of his functions.
Yeah.
You have a whole range of other functions tied to the executive branch of government, the appointment of the chancellor, the appointment of the chairman of the elections commission, the appointment of the members of the judicial service commission. Those functions are carried out as part of an executive decision. But he represents the opposition in carrying out those functions. So you need to distinguish between those two things too. And I don't know, we see, let the court system run, and we see how that evolves. But you can't be saying that you're waiting to see what happens in court before you move forward with the parliamentary side, because the two things are not necessarily related.
Well, that would have been my next question, whether the court matter can delay the appointment.
Oh, I don't see it working like that, because if we get a decision that he has to leave the jurisdiction, well, there's another matter. And that will take his time going through the court system, as I say, all the way up. So you can't be sitting down saying, you know, boy, we better don't appoint this man because he might get sent back to America. How long will it take? And the people's businesses are waiting. As I said, my father used to tell me, the role of the opposition is to oppose. Now, Mr. Nadir, the greatest of respect to him, he has his parliamentary agenda. He just called his citizens of parliament. I don't think he has been as forthcoming in the past 12th parliament with some of those sittings. But that's a matter for him, the agenda. I see people putting up parliamentary papers and questions and so on. He said there'll be a next sitting soon. But I don't think, as presently constituted, the parliament without somebody appointed as leader of the opposition is a functioning parliament in the traditional Westminster system, which we have. And y'all don't come for me. I know we have an executive presidency, which is not in the Westminster style, but the basis upon which our constitution is created and managed, we use the same book with Terry by parliamentary procedure and so on, is based on the Commonwealth. Right? And normally in any functioning, look around the Caribbean, look around the Commonwealth, that will lead the opposition. The leader of the opposition is appointed from the membership on the opposition bench. When he becomes leader, he's not like clothed with Teflon or anything. He's still a member of the opposition benches. The same seat he can sit on it, you know. You don't get the extra seat as leader of the opposition. He sits in the same seat he has as member. He's now just styled leader of the opposition. So each part and parcel of the opposition benches. So how can you have a functioning parliament without that person so designated? I see even in parliament, I got you sitting on at the first seat. As if they're giving him that, I don't know if it's an honor or acknowledgement. He's sitting at the first seat on the opposition side, but he just has not been appointed.
The other court matter now,
which one?
Which is not yet filed, which is being threatened. Let's assume it is filed tomorrow. They threaten to the speaker, if he don't call this meeting, they're going to go to court. I think 14 days, 13 days remaining.
I should have gone into that again. I don't know. Man has
so my question is, if this matter begin can somebody, the speaker or anybody else, say, since this matter is before the court, let's wait on this meeting to elect the opposition leader? How?
I would think that would be what, when people talking stubbornness, people said it would be a novel approach. That would be a novel approach to the matter. I wrote about this court aspect because I'm saying, as I was explaining just now, the three branches of government, right? They sit like in an uneasy relationship, and the one don't really, try to overstep the other. And the way how for good governance, you would not look if you go to court. You could depend on what you ask the court to do. You could go and ask, for instance, for an order of mandamus, which is to compel the speaker to call a meeting. And I said in my piece, I don't think that will be on. It's not advisable for the judge, a judge to be ordering the speaker. Now, if you cast your mind back 5 years ago, is the judge them had to teach them 65 divided by 2, right? But the judge didn't tell my former colleague, Mr. Scotland, this is how you do it. He ordered you to do nothing. You were wrong to do that. The court just explained how you find a simple majority in a parliament that has an even number of seats. That's all they do. So similarly here in this matter, I guess, depending on what the lawyers approach the court for, it'll be the outcome. And I said these things are, before the court, I can't get beyond that. The lawyers have their work to do. I can't tell them how to do the work. But again, with respect for the three branches of government, the speaker, so listen to the judiciary, the judiciary got to listen to the executive, and that's how in an imperfect harmony countries are run, right? Because there's a balance of power and they got checks and balances between the three. If you see one of them running out the rails, the president has immunity and so on for what he does. So you can't really carry the president to court. But the government as such, like through instrumentalities like the ombudsman and so on, can be kept in check, or that's one of the roles of parliament. The opposition bring the government to book with parliamentary questions, so that we sitting on the outside listening to that say, yeah, boy, then people write, on this side wrong, and you get the chaplains of democracy, or more particularly parliamentary democracy, and at least from the point of view of the electorate, the people that put them there, they get some sense of satisfaction. Not like I said before, walking out of parliament and not representing the folks. So again, let's let the court.
Panaji, you want to come in here?
I can be wrong here, and I stand corrected. Now, I have seen that article where Wynne threatened the speaker to go to court. But if that matter happened to go to court now, the speaker can always say, look, you can't take me to court. Now I have to wait on the outcome of the court, right? Before the court, that court matter can prolong for next 3-4 years.
Well, no, they can actually expedite proceedings. Right? If the court responds based on the orders to the matter, right. Just like in 2020.
No, but if I want to come in here to both of you. But if that is going on in court, Parliament could still function, and you have a budget, and that could happen?
Well, this is what I'm saying, because for me, I'm sorry, but for me, a parliament as presently constituted, without the leader of the opposition, all you have is 18 opposition members, one of whom has to become leader. Yeah. And you already identified somebody potentially as a person. Let's just waiting as this 5-10 minute meeting to appoint the gentleman.
Yeah.
I made a point in my piece, if heaven forbid, Mr. Maduro tries something. Look, the last time, President Ali, he sent for Aubrey. They're going to sit down in State House so they could take a national position. Right? The year before, the day after the no confidence, if you remember, Venezuela sent some helicopter and tried to land on one of the oil rigs out there. Mr. Greenwich went back to Parliament. He was Prime Minister at the time. And he addressed the Parliament to explain to them what the government was doing. And at the end of the I swung back that statement. He said, finally, I'd like you to know that I have been authorized to say that the leader of the opposition and the opposition party fully supports what the government is doing. If something like that happened right now,
you didn't pickle in.
If the speaker, if the speaker said, let me wait to see how this thing, could Parliament still meet and do its business? Could you have budget?
For my view, I don't think so, because this is a democracy which
budget is in 3 weeks' time.
Which give a government, and this is an executive government, And that opposition, like my learned friend said here, opposition is a part of the executive branch of government. So how can you go to parliament as a government and lay your budget without a leader of the opposition? It is disrespectful to the people who voted for the opposition.
Well, it's really the office of leader that's
the office, yes.
Yeah, but listen to me. I see your friends in Abno. They set up a shadow cabinet, right? Miss, what's her name? Amanda. She can set up her own shadow cabinet.
She's only one.
She's only one. She was your minister for everything.
She's minister of everything, right?
Then,
shadow minister of everything.
Win got to go and set up the one shadow cabinet. You got 3 shadow cabinet. It is the leader of the opposition who determines the list of speakers, the order, who can take questions, and so on. So I don't know how the distinguished gentlemen and ladies in the APNU could go ahead and set up their own shadow cabinet. When they got, what are we going to buy? When the opposition got talk on, I don't know, cost of living, who going to talk? Who's the shadow finance minister? Where you coming from? Which part? They got all those things they got to work out. I don't like these folks don't understand.
You work with unity as an opposition. And that's my concern. We're not seeing the way forward. You got hemorrhage every step in the opposition.
Mayor, let me ask you this. I know during that election that ran against Norton, you had Walton and then you had Ford, and you were on Team Ford. You openly supported Ford.
He was in the manager or the assistant manager?
No. I supported him.
Openly. If it turns out by some magic
that Ford becomes
the leader and invites you, are you persuaded? Can you be persuaded?
I asked him that off record.
Yes, I believe the only person at this point in time to lead the PNC is Roisel Ford, and I'm saying this publicly. And if Ford happened to go there, I will definitely rejoin the PNC and give Roisel Ford my support. I believe Ford have the kind of stature at this point of time to rebuild the PNC with a proper team.
Like he talk about the internal problems, right? Aubrey is on record as saying that he can only be removed by a meeting of, I think, the general
Congress.
Right? The Congress, General Congress. And apparently that is in the rules. So unless you're going to do, I don't know, a palace coup or whatever, if you want to follow the rules, and he will stand on the procedure to say that, you can't move me. So that's what you're proposing, I think, might have a...
No, but there's a general election for leaders coming up.
Yeah, next year, I think.
Next year, yeah.
Right. So nothing can happen till that
time.
Whatever happens. In the meantime, people got to, throw their hand in the ring, get organized, do their outreach. You saying Roisel is demand, fine. If a sufficient number of people say that, well, then they have a leadership contest as they had in the past with Granger and Carl Greenwich.
Yeah.
And a whole set of other people, Buster Williams, that's the James Bond. Look where you there now, buddy.
But beside that, Craig, you got people like Roisdale. You got people like Christopher Jones. You got Marvin Williams, who resigned as well. You have stalwart in the PNC can really move the PNC forward.
Did you talk with anybody before leaving?
Many times
a good friend who you call and say, "Hey, resigning"?
No, he said before you issued.
I did communicate with my comrades. I spoke to them.
David Granger?
No, I have no contact or communication with David Granger. And I said, look, man, let me just take this position at this point of time and be Ubraj now.
Do you speak to her?
Remember when I was here a couple months ago and you asked me if Aubrey would step down? I think with the guy here, anyway, and I told you that is not really part of our culture.
Yeah.
Even ministers don't resign, much as the leaders. So I think we're stuck in that divide. Sorry, I cut you off.
But you think there'll be a challenge to him in the Congress next year?
Well, I can't really say. I don't know the internal preparation for the Congress.
But you would advise Roisel Ford to challenge him?
I don't know if Roisel going to run or not. With all this kind of hemorrhage that's happening in the PNC, I can't really say. Right? And the MPs that in Parliament, I will encourage them that remove from racism. Because when you have people overseas going and say the East Indian government, which is PPP, I'm an East Indian, I'm a part of the PNC, right? Or was a part of the PNC, right? You can't do those things, East Indian government, because the PPP does not build alone on East India now. There's Afro-Guyanese there. Likewise, you have East Indian in the PNC, right? This thing about racism and to represent one race, it will not
What's your
work.
take on what David Hines said?
I believe David Hines, he gone way off his
marbles.
Yeah, I don't know if this guy, something happened to him. I don't know if he consumed alcohol or something, but I have great respect for that man in terms of I listen to him several times, I communicate with him several times, but for this short period of time during election to now, it's going on and on. Like I saw article, Get Out of Tiger Bay. When last David Hines visited Tiger Bay? When last David Hines
knows where Tiger Bay is?
Tiger Bay, right? And that's my issue. When last the city council went to Tiger Bay? I used to visit Tiger Bay every week. The people can tell you that in Tiger Bay. When I was mayor, every week I'm in Tiger Bay, right? And you cannot go down those roads, man. There's a limitation for certain things. You cannot build politics in this 21st century on racism anymore. Racism is a big issue in this country. But as leaders, if we continue to move forward in that direction, we will only create barriers to build the PNC, right? And like my lovely friend said here earlier, the PNC had, when you look at Shahabuddin and all these great wise men among Barnum, they were Indians. They were East Indians with him.
Steve Narine
was minister.
Neville Bissember.
Yeah.
Let's call him Steve Narine.
Chandi Singh.
Before Chandi Singh.
The Tiwaris from Windsor Forest. Gaukar and Sharma.
Yeah, Bonham had some high profile
Right?
Indians.
All of these.
As you raise it,
Kami Ramsuru.
Kami
Oh my
Ramsuru.
goodness.
Bishwaishwar Kami Ramsuru. Let's really know.
Yeah.
As you raise it, if you're doing that, you're going down that road as tentative or slippery as it is. When you look at the two parties, right, the two main parties, because I already mentioned, I think Mr. Mohamed seemed to have broken the back of that racism divide. Whether it's rent a crowd or not, you see yet a groundswell of support from both sides, right? I believe, I'll say something now, you correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's fair to say that in terms of bridging that divide, PPP has been able to get more crossover votes from the Afro-Guyanese than APNU has managed to encourage Indians to come to the party. With the greatest of respect to yourself. That's the first point I'm going to make. Secondly, and I think that has to do with the leadership. Like all them senior Indian politicians we met in the past, this is another one of the strengths of Mr. Barnum. He understands the dynamic where we were coming from. He encouraged those people like Vincent Tika and them to come across from the PPP because he understands what he was doing in terms of building. You know, used to call that height. You used to call height. That's not Prasad. You understand the thing that and the creeps and all kind of thing. Because people realize that we can't continue this foolishness. So as he's saying, in this day and age, if you're flagging that kind of thing, you're not going anywhere. But I believe, due to whatever the leadership policies are, broke down or whatever it is, the pull factor for Indians coming into APNU is not as great as the other side.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Nobody can agree with that. And therefore, if you agree with me, then the APNU has its work cut out for it.
Yeah,
and people like you have a role to play, but like they want you to play
exactly.
a role. So.
Right? They don't want that because during election I make mention, I organize outreach to Manripo, Luziknan, and all was.
But you don't think you should have had someone like Craig or Bissember Neville advising you before you resign? These are men who know it's a mis-strategy. Stay in, and when Norton gets into the fire. You are there to strategize.
Let me be quite honest to you. Let me tell you something.
He's going to be in fire in the next Congress.
Let me tell you something.
And you're not going to be there because you're not a member.
I am not interested in position. I'm interested in the people representation.
No, but you could have helped. You could have helped while there forward. If you go into Congress, please don't look at you to leave. You're a stranger.
That's fine with me. That's
no,
okay with me.
Don't you? I'm asking both of you. I'm asking my co-host now and you. Don't you think he mis-strategized by leaving?
I told you all the outset. I respect the gentleman's decision.
But he mis-strategized by.
I don't know. Listen to me. If you go down that road,
who wears the hat?
If you go down that road, let me take a campaign like Obama's campaign, which was well run, well organized, first black president. Did he make his campaign manager a cabinet member? No. You got to understand your role, friend. You got to understand your role, and the leader got to understand your role. Some people have certain skills. Some people have leadership skills. You know, anyway, it doesn't something matter about how people operate, decision making. You can't teach people to do those things. Leadership, it comes with certain attributes, charisma, and your interpersonal skills, them kind of things, right? How you talk to people. You know, arrogance and so on. Sometimes a little arrogance is not bad, you know, but it's when how you use it. You know, I mean, in my history in negotiations, you know when to be forceful and bang on the table. It's not arrogance. You're just making a point to the other side, right? So I don't know that he mis-strategized. That's a matter entirely for this gentleman. What I'm saying.
How he can come back if Aubrey goes?
But he might
help Vox there forward.
That's Freddie. I took that decision because
my friend, you don't have to justify
exactly. That's my view, right? If I'm seeing something I'm not going right, I don't want to be a part and parcel of it.
I tell you the story the last time, but Gordon Brown and Tony Blair.
Yeah, the cafe.
The cafe in the bar, right? And both of them are leader. And Tony Blair said, you know what, I don't go first, I step down. He never stepped down.
Yeah.
But God become prime minister after.
You should not have mentioned that to the man.
No, I'm saying.
You should not have made the man go and resign.
No, but if he's starting from the premise that he does not want the leadership position, right? People do these things, you know, well, you know, I can support you as leader, and then you give me 1,000 acres of land up the highway, however. You make me board chairman for something, and you make your arrangement. So I can't hold it against the gentleman, man. No.
So you're saying one action now, be unambiguous. It wasn't a mis-strategy in resigning.
Who? Me? He. Oh, he. I can't answer.
8 minutes more to go. I want to ask both of you the same question, and you could take turns. Is Win going to survive the next few years, given the precarious position of its leader, where the money comes from, no party headquarters, no party structure? Pandiji, go first.
I'm not a part of it. I don't know their strategy.
I'm asking you as a man who's been
I don't know nothing about Win by not only by seeing him active in this on the social media. I can't really say that for Win to move forward in the political arena, there has to be structures. So if Mr. Mohamed get extradited, who will take up the responsibility of the party? Who will be the next individual? Who will fund this party and all these things? So they have their work cut out for them too, within their political party. And I can't determine that because I'm not a part and parcel of their committee if they have one or not. Constitution and so on for a party. I don't know if Win have those things. So those are the things will determine if Win will be successful at the local government election coming up soon or 2030 election.
Why is it you don't like the junior behind? You don't like people to refer to
I'm told the practice is that now that senior is no longer. I don't need to use it. Right. I mean, my son is Neville the third, and my grandson is Neville the fourth.
So you Neville the second?
Neville Jr. They don't live in this jurisdiction. And thank the Lord, he doesn't have the weight. If you say, "Oh, you're Bissember's son, you're Neville's son," you know, you gotta live in that shadow of your father. which my son and my grandson don't have, but they bear my name. No, I just
So when will survive?
But I was going to ask you, he said if he's extradited. I was going to ask you if he's not extradited, because again, we're not going down that road because the matter is before the court. But I believe the case law will show us. I believe one Mr. Dataram was able to successfully challenge his extradition. Right? I believe I'm wrong. If I'm speaking just after memory now, maybe as a result of that, the law was amended. I think the law has found some loophole or something.
But eventually, Dr. Ram gave up himself.
That's separate. He of his own choice, but he isn't extradited.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And other people have fought extradition. You make a good point, but if he is extradited, who will lead the party? Look, let me say this. As unusual as this situation is about us now having a third party, and a third party led by an Indian, when you got your quote-unquote Indian government, right? It is equally unusual that person is now the subject of extradition proceedings. I think it's unprecedented. Certainly they come out with the other kind of situation. So we're in a state of uncertainty. I start by telling you I don't have a crystal ball. Let's see the court process going. But already I see the gentleman doing his outreach, taking the government to task as an opposition should. That is the role of the opposition. So long as they're carrying on the role, I think we got to give them acknowledgement for that. But the leadership issue certainly is going to be a challenge as and when the court structure, the court system goes to the court.
All right. The issue, there's a judgment handed down recently concerning GRA. Quickly, can you just parcel?
Which one is two? Because I see
not this chief justice. The other one.
Justice Gino Passat saying that GRA cannot reassess.
I haven't read the judgment. I don't like comment on these things when the reporters write it, because sometimes they miss some of the nuances. But I see some, from what I can recall, right? In Mr. Mohamed's case, there was a time limit within which the reassessment should have been done.
The thing he signed, there's a thing released it to the public that it says 7 years, and it's not 7 years yet.
Tell you, I thought it was 4 years. Not 20, when you bring the vehicle, not 20, is it not 7 years yet?
No.
All right, well, if it isn't, well, then what I'm saying is not true. I thought it was 4 years. And I think in the other matter, the time was within the time, so they could have done it. The other important issue, I think, which I've seen in the press, is that the second matter that the Madam Acting Chancellor sat on was the consignment was not one thing, was not one car, was a series of containers, and they allowed some of the things to go without inspecting all of them.
That was the difference.
So from that sense, they had a right to carve it. So bring back them as a container when you look at, man. This thing is one car in a box. You open the car, say yes. And with the greatest of respect to the people at GRA, if you ask a little child, how much a Lamborghini value? They will tell you it's not $75,000. You as a customs officer, you say invite for $75,000 and accept that as the value of a Lamborghini, Aventador, and then come back and say, oh, no, it's the wrong, no, please, come on. So the issues there, I think, which are different, and this is what the lawyers will do, differentiate or distinguish the one case from the other. I see the government said they're appealing Justice Prasad's matter, and Mr. Mohamed's lawyers, I'm sure, will lawyer up to address that based on some of those things. But I'm sorry, I'm commenting on based on what they said in the media. So if I misrepresented
you're
anything,
right. I read it. Same thing I read. Okay. That is a big difference between the case with the Chancellor, Acting Chancellor, and Gino Prasad. There's a big difference.
That's a fundamental difference. If you got one consignment, I mean, because they do it all the time, I mean, these customs people, sometimes when they get ready, they explain to me, like around Christmas time, there's an expedited procedure for businessmen who got goods, especially that's going to perish. They release the consignment, and you pay a duty, and then if it's anything, they always go back and ask you to pay something else, rather than go in and inspect every single container.
Yeah, but certainly filing a fraudulent, in making a fraudulent entry, isn't that?
Who filed a fraudulent entry?
If the price is one price, and you file a different price, isn't that a fraudulent?
But how you can define that as fraud?
Well, if it was accepted, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you work? You customs officer. You do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, man, this car can't be valued $75,000. Excuse me, something wrong here.
Yeah.
Nobody think.
The operator said 1 minute more
1
to
minute,
go.
well.
So quickly, name one thing, both of you, that you want to see come out of you want to see the Constitution Reform Commission implement in this country. Just one thing each. Pandaji,
I would say the biometric system.
for voting, people right. Good. Neville.
Yeah, it has to do with the elections, either the appointment of the chairman of the Elections Commission or the commissioners themselves. You see the nonsense that played out, but commissioners saying they're there for life, which is utter nonsense. I wrote a piece about a number of constitutional things that have to be changed. Commonwealth voters, prisoners voting, the election commissioners. There are a number of things that...
But you don't think they are there for life?
They're
in
not.
The current
I wrote 2 pieces of that. They're not. They can't be.
Okay.
It's a new leader of the opposition. These people are appointed by the leader of the opposition. How could they still enjoy Mr. Mohamed's pleasure? I think he said he will keep one. He can do it. No, man, come on.
Man, this thing called for integrity and decency and unity among the opposition. And
We got to go. I have to extend my deep appreciation to both of you. When you look at this program over the years, you have made your contribution to it. I'd like to tell you can pick up the phone anytime and say, I want to discuss this, and you're free to go. You're free to come into the studio.
You know, I've never done that.
Same here.
And you can do that. You can say, I have someone I want to bring, but before we go, you keep writing about Burnham. You admire Burnham. But I've never seen you wear short jack to this program. This is about your 10th appearance. Look, this immaculate short jack. And finally, could you please sign up the PPP application form?
On the camera.
You sign it.
I sign with the camera. I can sign the witness. I can sign. Give him a piece of paper, man. I can sign it as a witness.
2 of our favorite guests are here. We are always grateful for them. They've never refused to come on this program, stimulate, titillate, and excite our viewers. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of viewers for this. You were watching the former mayor of Georgetown, the man who lied down in front of trucks outside the Georgetown hospital and say, right over me, you can't remove those vendors. You're watching.
I never lie down.
Then there is the son of one of the famous names of icon of the PNC, one of the founders of the PNC.
Whatever, I don't know.
Neville Bissember. We were discussing a whole range of topics. Have a very, very, very pleasant weekend, and I hope your weekend is satisfactory. On behalf of our esteemed gentlemen here, my co-hosts of operators, catch you later. Bye-bye.